welcome to another episode of NBL Now. And we have hit the FIBA window. We've got Boomers and Tall Blacks games coming up at the end of this week, but it gives us a perfect opportunity to look at the season in review. We've had 10 rounds of NBL 26 so far. Plenty has happened. I'm Kelsey Brown here to break it all down with Mark Worthington. Wortho, big questions all around today. You've been given the job of breaking down Perth and Illawarra, but how have you seen this season so far and what's fascinated you the most?
Yeah, it's been really nice. And I guess like on a personal level, being back involved with the NBL has been really enjoyable again. As far as what's fascinated me, well, I find this a great question to ask myself because this league has been dominated by little men for too long. Little men in the guard department as imports, little men like Homicide, like Derek Rucker, like Damon Lowry. No longer is it dominated by little men. The big men are making a resurgence. And so if you look around the league, you got Perth with Joe Luala-Chul, Isaac Humphries at Adelaide, Sam Menenga playing well in New Zealand, Jesse Edwards at Melbourne United, Geordie Hunter splashing threes at Southeast Melbourne, JaVale McGee, Tim Suarez, Tyrell Harrison, and we still have Sam Wardenberg to come back in post-FIBA break. So when you talk about what's fascinated me, the fascination is around how the game has evolved once again, and it's back in hands of the big man right where it should be.
I absolutely love that take, and it has been fascinating to watch the resurgence of some of these players. Sam Menenga, he's up there for most improved this season. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have got him on their list, but I love that take from you, and I love having you back in commentary and doing these NBL Nows with you. Let's get straight into it, though. This is brought to you by codesports.com.au. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Let's start with the Wildcats. You were at the game. You were in commentary. You've seen them up close and personal. You live in Perth. What do you like about them as a team this year?
Well, you look at how their lineup has been constructed, and it's a very even across the board lineup when it comes to defense. It's a very switchable lineup. So you've got your David Duke Juniors, your Windlers, your Doolittles, your Henschels, your Peppers, your Lapmayan, your Sunday Detch. And Tasmania struggled with that on Friday night because they were doing their action, but everything became a switch, which just flattened out their entire offense. So the flexibility that they have on the defensive end is definitely one part of the Wildcats, which they haven't had in previous seasons, that I really enjoy.
They've got some really big weapons on that defensive end. What about the second half of the season? We've seen 10 rounds, like I said. What needs to change for the Wildcats in the second half?
I don't think it's a true reflection of where this Wildcats team is. Their biggest weakness coming into this season was the lack of a point guard. Now, through that, we got the emergence of Jaron Riley and what he was able to bring to the table. He unfortunately gets injured and sidelined with a hamstring. David Duke Jr. comes into the lineup to replace Mason Jones, and he's been given the opportunity to be a point guard. Now, I don't think he's a pure point guard as it stands, so his role hasn't really been defined within this team as of yet. I can see a world where it's a Jaron Riley, David Duke Jr., Windler, Doolittle, JLA as a starting lineup. And why that is important is because you need a true point guard come finals time to execute down the stretch. There aren't going to be these blowout games. It's going to be very tightly contested. And they ran into this issue on Sunday against Melbourne United, not being able to execute like Melbourne United were down the stretch. So for me, it's bringing Jaron Riley back into the lineup. It's getting David Duke Jr. sorted into his role into that off-guard position. And their offense just seems a little stagnant at the moment, but I'm sure this FIBA break will help them iron out a few of those wrinkles.
Yeah, the scoring really did dry up at the end of that. And I know we're not supposed to have favourites, but Jaron really is very much up there for me as a player this season that has really impressed me. I've absolutely loved watching him play, so hopefully he's getting that hamstring right. Let's go to most improved player for the Perth Wildcats.
Well, if you look statistically, a lot of them are playing at the level or a little below where they normally are. So my most improved was from the start of the season to where he is right now. And it's your boy, Jaron Riley. He's played really, really well. And it's been so much made of his plus minus and the value that he brings to his team. I don't think anyone expected him to be a starter in this league. He didn't even play the first couple of games because he wasn't ready in his dad's eyes, so it seemed. But what he does is bring a level of poise, knowing when it's his opportunity to score, which is not all the time, but more importantly, be able to set up his teammates. He makes a lot of winning plays. So my most improved from the start of the season to current is Jaren Riley.
And what makes it so sweet for him is that he probably had to do more than the average person because John's his dad. And I feel like there was that tag coming into it. He was a DP and has really shone this season. Okay, team MVP. The last few years, we've known who it was going to be for the Perth Wildcats. This year, it's a change up. They've got a handful of players that could be up there. Your team MVP so far?
I'm still going with JLA at this point. A lot of people have said, well, it's too little. Yes, he's played a lot of really good games as of late, but he had a really slow start to the season. JLA has been the constant for him. I still think Christian Doolittle is the most important player that the Perth Wildcats have because he does a little bit of everything and sort of become that heart and soul of the team. He was just solely Robin last season to Batman. You could argue that Perth have two Batmans now because JLA on his night is quite capable of doing amazing things. Christian Doolittle is quite capable of having a great all-round game, but the MVP to this date still to me is JLA and the play that he had early on in the season.
Love that take from you as well. Okay, we've got a new underwear sponsor in the NBL. It's the first time in history Step 1 has come on board for that. So we've got a little segment, Step Up for Step 1. Who for the Perth Wildcats needs to step up? I'm actually very interested in this because you mentioned Doolittle had a slow start to the season, but he's really come to. Who is the player that you think needs to step up from round 11 to 22?
Well, first off, the first person who needs to step up is Jason Kadey to give me a call and make sure that he gets me a couple of step ones because I do wear them. But for me, it's the import guards in both David Duke Jr. and Dylan Windler. I'll start with Dylan Windler because I think he's the most important. When he's been aggressive offensively, it seems to affect the rest of his game. His ability to rebound goes through the roof, and we know as a guard, he's one of the best rebounding guards that this league has had in a long time. So for him to step up and be more aggressive on the offensive end will lead to a better all-round performance for Dylan Windler, in my opinion. David Duke, I think it's unfair to say that he needs to step up because, as I said, I think he's playing out of position at the moment. But make no mistake about it, if the Perth Wildcats are to be successful this season, they really need to have a solid input from him, not only offensively, but defensively going forward.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, him coming in. And it's like I said with Jaren, it's one of those things where you have to come in and make an impact that quickly when you've missed that start part of the season for David Duke. So currently Perth are sitting fourth as we head into the FIBA window. They've played 14 games, they've won 8, they've lost 6. Where do you see them standing in the Mitsubishi Motors ladder at the end of the season?
I've got them finishing in that third, fourth spot, but if you're going to put me on the spot, I'll say that they'll finish third. I think they will make the semi-finals. I do not think they'll make it to the grand final because I can't put them above Melbourne United nor Adelaide at current. To me, the point guard position is still worrisome as the season goes on. Hopefully, Jaren really can get right and gets back to his level of play. I also know come finals, it's a whole nother beast. So for me, when you look at the point guard position currently in Perth, they are a very good team, but they are not in the top 2.
Doolittle came out on the weekend and said he's used to winning and he doesn't like the fact that Perth missed a championship last year. So your prediction of them finishing third is not going to make him happy. Finally, for the Perth Wildcats, let's look at a report card score. What are you giving them? What grade are you giving them for the first 10?
Well, any teacher that's ever taught me will laugh that I'm giving grades. But I will be giving the Perth Wildcats a B to start this season. They're just a flat B at the moment. I think they went through a rough patch. They came out the other side. They've had an import change, and they still managed to be fourth at the moment. Come post FIBA break, we'll see this team get better and better. So for me, it's a flat B.
I'm looking forward to the rest of the NBL nows this week to see if this becomes generous or if this is a brutal B. But I think generous for the Perth Wildcats. But I also think that they've shocked a lot of people with how they've come out to start this season, the wins that they've got on the road. Now they just need to make RAC a fortress again. Okay, moving on to Illawarra. Illawarra, they are the reigning champs. They are currently 9th on the ladder. The only people below them are the Cairns Taipans. It has been an up and down season. Just when you think that they're finding their form and their feet, they managed to find a way to get smashed by Sydney Kings. Let's start with them, what you like.
Well, I've liked what Davo Hickey has brought into this lineup and the chemistry that he seemingly has with JaVale McGee on the court. What Davo does is changes the pace of the game, and because he's one of those players that can change the pace of the game, him getting into the seams and being able to bring other players into it have made this Illawarra team a little bit different than what they were at the start of the season. Now, they've gone through their own set of turmoil itself, and I think on top of that being the reigning champs, when you bring in someone like JaVale as well, the expectations were through the roof for this team and what they were going to do. Unfortunately, they just haven't lived up to it at this stage.
Yeah, it's been a tough start to the season, but we know that there's plenty more games to play. The hard thing is that they've got too many losses under the belt early to then have to really put pressure on themselves to win later on in the season. Speaking of getting wins later in the season, then, what needs to change?
Look after the damn ball. Look after the ball. They're leading the league in turnovers, 15 turnovers a game. And to me, that comes off a lack of execution offensively and knowing what they want to get. A lot has been spoken about their inability to get through an offense and a more of a one-on-one style sort of game that has led to turnovers and easy baskets for the other team. They're not in a position to be giving away easy baskets as it currently stands when their offense isn't fully clicking yet. So if they can limit their turnovers, make them play, opposition teams play more in a half-court set, and then filter people to JaVale McGee to be that rim protector at the rim, they really do have a chance in the second half of the season. However, when you turn the ball over and they go dunk it down the other end, it doesn't give you a chance to set up your defense.
I'm sure that doesn't make you feel good either. Another thing that might change for Illawarra in the second half of the season is the injection of Sam as well. He's out with that Achilles at the moment. So an injection of him back into the roster looks good as well. Okay, most improved for the Hawks?
I'm going with Davo Hickey. I think, and I was one of the pundits that didn't believe that he was a starting point guard in this league, and he has proven me wrong time and time again. He's a near triple-double threat when he walks on the court, and his ability to play both ends of the court has been amazing. Not only has he improved the most in the Illawarra Hawks team, I firmly believe he's the number one Australian point guard that we currently have in the league. So for me, he's shown that his game has stepped up to another level, and for me, they will need him to have a even bigger second half of the season if the Hawks are to make a run.
That is a bold take, and that is why I love doing these with you, because you love having hot takes. And I can't wait to see what Will Hickey does in the Boomers games as well, because these
prove me wrong. Who's another local player that you can think of the top of your head that is currently playing in the NBL that is better?
I can't, because the 5 point guards that come to my head are all imports. So you are correct. Maybe it's not a hot take. I absolutely love that, though, and that's a great call, because I think Davo Hickey last year really flew under the radar. Trey Kell, Tyler Harvey really took the mantle. They were both all first-team members, and so Will Hickey had to come off the bench and be that spark plug. This year, it looks like it's more his team. I'm really excited to see what he does with the Boomers.
Yep.
Team MVP.
No surprise here. It is JaVale McGee at this stage of the season. 21 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, and a whole top 10 package all dedicated to him and what he's able to do on a basketball court. He is undoubtedly the most athletic player that has ever come and played in the NBL, and we should just all enjoy whatever time we have of him being in the league, because he's worth the price of admission alone. And he's definitely been the MVP to this stage, and they will need, like Davo will need to have a big second half of the season if he's going to lift the Hawks into the finals.
Even that 3-ball, just I can't believe that it didn't come to fruition in the end. They didn't get the win, but even just add that to his highlights reel is just insane. Who needs to step up for step one for the Illawarra Hawks? There's a few that could take this. I'm interested for your thoughts.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up Sam Froling before and him coming back. I don't think we can have expectations on what Sam can do in the back half of the season. It's going to be fantastic to see him back in the Hawks outfit. And for someone who has just made it his own in Illawarra, it would be really good and a feel-good story to have him back on the court. Who needs to step up is Jonah Bolden, in my opinion. Being brought over here from the New Zealand Breakers, he's had a couple of turbulent years now where he hasn't really found his groove. But if we can encapsulate early season New Zealand Breakers form that he found, especially on the defensive end, and his ability to knock down a 3-ball, which spreads the court for players like JaVale McGee to have a bit more space. If he can have a big second half of the season, I think this goes a long way once again for the Hawks to be able to make a finals run, but they need some sort of defensive presence because if you've got him and JaVale on the court at the same time, there's not too many people getting towards the rim. If you're able to combine it with a shot that he can knock down at a consistent rate, not only does it open up for JaVale, but it takes a bit more pressure off Tyler Harvey and Davo Hickey as well.
Plenty for the Illawarra Hawks to look at, and hopefully Sam Froling's recovery is going really well. I cannot wait to see him out there. He's so integral to their championship last season. So Illawarra, they've played 13 games. They've only managed 4 wins, 9 losses. Ladder prediction, do they make the play-in?
The bottom end of Illawarra will finish 8th. The top end of Illawarra will finish 6th. I think they will make a run in the second half of the season. I think they'll finish in that 6th spot.
I was going to say, do we just average that out and say they'll finish 7th? Finally, report card score. What are you giving them as a grade for the season so far?
I was going to be nice and give them a C-, but realistically, they are a D at the moment of where they currently stand. And coming off the back of a championship, I'm sure there's no one more disappointed than the players themselves and where they currently stand. The good news is they do have a phenomenal talent in JaVale McGee. They do have a really good leader in Davo Hickey. They are getting their inspirational leader back in Sam Froling. And Tyler Harvey is one of those imports that we still don't talk highly enough about on a regular basis of what he's capable of doing. So we put all that, and I should add, Peterson has been a nice little spark plug for him as well. So if they can get all that together, they will make the run. But as it currently stands, their report card is a D.
A D for the reigning champs. Well, as always, an excellent episode from you, Mark Worthington. Great to have your company. A reminder to everyone, we've got plenty more NBL Nows coming up this week. Jason Kadee is on tomorrow. He's going to be breaking down his Adelaide 36ers. And don't forget the much anticipated Top 15 drops Thursday this week. I know Derek Rapper has been really finicky in putting that together. I'm excited to see that. And it should be very obvious who's number one. But I actually just never trust Derek. So I can't wait to see what comes out on Thursday. We will talk to you tomorrow on NBL. Now brought to you by Code Sports.